November the 13th, 2025, 9:39 a.m. early Saturday morning. And I wanted to come on because we're about to possibly come into what is called a death cross of the 111 and the 700. It's showing up on the screen as we speak. And there appeared just an alert seconds ago. And it did print as that death cross came in. Now, let's make this part 5 of a series of introducing the indicators. And this beautiful series is causing you to learn things really fast and on the fly. And because we've done the 4 parts already, then we're just looking at the majority of the information and interpreting it thereof on the chart. Currently looking at a cryptocurrency called ZBCN in the upper left-hand corner on Tradingview's platform. And we look at ZBCN based out of South Korea on a 10-second chart because it gives us clean signals. Very religious about giving us clean signals on the chart. On this 10-second chart, which is our training chart, we treat these candles, even though currently they're 10-second candles, we treat them as any other time frame. They can be 5-minute candles, 11-minute candles, 45-minute candles, 3-hour, 4-hour, 6-hour, 12-hour candles. They can be 1-day candles, 2-day candles, 4-day candles, 1-week candles, 2-week candles, 1-month candles, and any time frame that we see in here. The methodology and understanding the 10-second chart has us learning things very quickly. And when we realize we can learn this fast, things become very exciting. Now, how did I know that we were due for a death cross of the 111 and the 700? Because the information is in the chart. So we just have to jump in and start interpreting the information. The first thing we want to look at is the support, dotted green lines, and the resistance, dotted blue lines. The support and resistance lines are also a thing of beauty because the support and resistance lines are going to let us know if we're hitting against a ceiling and can bounce down for resistance. And if we have support with the sky above us, no ceiling, so that we can go up. So right now, the resistance line is greater than and longer than the support line. And you see, we're in negative territory here. Also, the blue painted candles indicate an uptrend, and the yellow painted candles can demonstrate a downtrend. You can see this many places in the chart. So just take a look at how support and resistance lines are dynamically adjusting and moving as we count cadence. Now remember the cadence and look at that beautiful support as we have a good foundation and we can move upward. And this is beautiful. And resistance comes in. And again, they're dynamically changing. Let's count cadence for a few minutes, but let's remind you, as we count cadence, the yellow can bring in the red, the blue can bring in the green. The yellow can bring in the red, and the blue can bring in the green. We always stagger between yellow and blue, and yellow and blue, and yellow. I know a blue is due in our future really soon. And this blue can have the possibility of bringing in the green. So right now we're in a downtrend. We're waiting on a blue triangle to appear. And the blue and the green can merge together and give us this beautiful shade of blue. You see the other blues here. And red and yellow can merge together and give us a very unique and distinctive color. All right, so there's our blue. Will it print? Our blue did slide to the left and it did print. Will it bring in the green? If it doesn't have strength to bring in the green, then after blue comes yellow. So, and as I'm talking, we see things appearing and it did print. So the blue did not bring in the green just yet, but now we have a blue. And will it bring in the green this time? If it can't, we'll get another yellow. So the blue can bring in the green, the yellow can bring in the red. We know we're due for a yellow, and now it's yellow's turn. Can yellow bring in the red? There's two combined into one. It did not print. Notice it didn't slide left. Can yellow bring in the red now? If not, we get another blue. If the yellow prints and the red doesn't. So let's see what happens. The markets are heating up in the background. You can see that visually. And also, that's our beautiful hybrid relative strength index and stochastic relative strength index indicator with the beautiful strength and speed hybrid number on the candle itself. We can remove those, but it's letting you see visually the numerical value of the candle in relationship to price action. Everything is in reference to the 21 simple moving average. The yellow line that appears in the midst of the white line that appears in the midst of the yellow, and the blue when it does appear. All right, so we know we can count cadence, and we have that down. We have that nailed down tight. This is the blue and the green together. It did print. We have upward price action. After blue comes yellow. Will we enjoy the ride? And of course, things are be determined. They don't have to come right after each other, but we know what can happen next based on the if this then that scenario. You can see the beautiful death cross that was once to the far right of the screen, now moving off screen, and the death cross is opening up. The dotted white lines is as downward price action, and we've been slightly trending down. Now look at this beautiful move here. Beautiful. Now this draws our attention. That support line really needs to adjust and come over. It will eventually do so. Things can happen out the gate and on the fly. Remember, we use everything together. This happened so quickly. And it happened so quickly because, well, like I said, it depends on computer processing speed and if the signals are faithful or not to come in about every 10 seconds. This seems like it happened all within 30 seconds or so, which would have been 3 bars. So support here is like saying, hey, what's going on? Support should fly over at any moment. Is probably adjusting because these signals are coming in so fast. Now, is that a market thing? Is that a Tradingview thing? It is what it is. We have to use the information that we have. The thing is, if one didn't show, and now resistance is greater than support, if one did not show, then of course we have other things in the chart to show us what's going on, which is a beautiful thing. It's like redundancy. You have to have fail-safe mechanisms in place. That helps out greatly. Look at the mark. The markets really heat up. Look at that history. 90.75, 90.71, 85. A drastic change and dip. And the person could have taken the profit and gone out, right? Let the markets cool down if it would, and so forth. Now, what brought us up through is a triggering effect. The 1 and the 3, golden cross, the blue, ushered in the 2 and the 6, golden cross, the green. They're together. When I put my cursor on this green, then the one here reveals what's underneath. Right now it looks blue, but when I put it here and you look to the right, that is a green underneath. You can clearly see that. All right, so now the 2 and the 6 triggered the 9 and the 21 that wanted to come in. We get the early warning system here, and then boom, the 9 and the 21 golden cross came in. So the chain reaction of them feeding off of each other is like 2 and 3 tornadoes combining into one for beautiful devastation. Now, the 9 and the 21 triggered the 13 and the 48 golden cross to come in. And there is that golden cross manifesting on this time frame here. And that helped you shoot up even further. And now that 13 and 48 along with the 50 and the 200 that got triggered, the green arrows, begin to trigger the 111 and 700 white squares to carry you through the death cross of the 111 and the 700, the dotted white lines. Now, you probably don't understand a thing I said just now, but in my mind, I understand why the price action moved up without watching any news articles, without reading any publications. The information is always at your fingertips in the chart. So looking at the chart first is a beautiful thing. We can speculate with news articles, buy the rumor, sell the news type events like the Fed raising and lowering interest rates and all those beautiful things, but the information is in the chart itself. Now, notice while we're here, the beautiful pi cycle top for the 10-second time frame that we're on, the 1 second, 5 second, 10 second, 15 second, and 30-second pi cycle top. It's a beautiful thing as it gives you beautiful entries. Black and a special shade of green is an entry. So black, and this is an introductory green. It's usually this color down here that lets us know we're at a low point. So we went from black, and this happened so quickly that we got the introductory green and immediately went into shades of orange. And you can see when you go from black to shades of orange, you increase in value. You can see the 4 special moving averages in there, 2 of which you can see naked with the naked eye. And then it begins to go back to its line of assignment. And then when it falls below its line of assignment, it bells out. But notice the different shade of orange. One is orange black, and then we go to black. Then we immediately jump into another introductory green, right? And then we ride that up into some gains because you can spy with your eye the candles or the bars, okay? And that goes to increase. And then you have a lime color. There's 2 different shades here. Lime can be a bridge saying stay in or count cadence and get out. You decide what you should do. And immediately it goes to a darker lime and we fade out to black, which is a great entry point. Now this is a fast moving chart, but remember the same thing that happens on the 10-second time frame is the very same thing that happens on slower moving charts, 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute, 4-hour, and so forth for bigger gains. Notice we have an alert that printed. The golden cross came in of the 111 and the 700. The flippening from red to green, but notice another truth in the chart. You travel up through negative colors and down through positive colors. When the negative is about to close out, and right now the solid white lines house red, when that negative is about to close out, just before it closes, you will be above it. And when the positive colors, like this blue right here, when that closes out, before it does, you will be below it. So we have to go below the 9 and the 21 golden cross that started it here, changing what small yellow we would have seen here to blue. When that closes out, we will be beneath it because it have flipped from blue to yellow. And now you have the 13 and the 48, that's positive. Between the orange dotted lines, that's positive color too. Before that closes out and turns to red, you will be beneath it. So these are more truths in the chart. And we can say the same of the 50 and the 200 golden cross that we see here. Before that 50 and the 200 golden cross closes out to red, you will be beneath it. And we can say what's true of the 111 and the 700. Before that 111 and the 700 golden cross closes out and flips to negative, you will be beneath it. These are beautiful truths in the chart. Meanwhile, pi cycle top is giving you a good entry. Notice this beautiful color here. That color or black are entry points with introductories of this color here. I spy with my eye good entries. The other ones, lime and this color green, says count cadence, look at the chart and see if you should stay in the trade. That way you're not triggering any artificial intelligence algorithms on Coinbase, Robinhood, Uphold, Kraken, wherever you trade, that you may not necessarily be flagged as a day trader. It's typically known that if you have less than 25,000 in an account, that's US dollars, you should only take at least 3 trades of the same asset, which is a buy and sell, times 3, within a 5-day period. You don't want to do more than 3 on the same asset within a 5-day period. All right, we can see the markets heating up and cooling down. We can see that numerically with the strength and speed of the hybrid stochastic RSI and RSI numerical value on the candle itself showing us the strength and the speed. We have the visual of the markets itself. White hot is usually right in the middle. It can go orange or it can go pink. And sometimes we just jump a whole 40 segment. Look, from 37 to 59. That's hot. Let's look at the 2-pole oscillator value going out. And we can see the price is relatively flat, which is beautiful. And value coming in. Notice we're from the bottom position. And we can go up. Look at the markets heating up. And let's compress the candle so we can count cadence. After blue comes yellow. Compress it more. Ooh, that's really hot. We're about to cool off here in a second. After blue comes yellow, right? And that yellow can have the strength to possibly bring in the red death cross. The green underneath the blue paints our candles from yellow to blue. And the red, whenever the yellow brings it in, can paint the candles from blue to yellow. And that's just with counting cadence. Notice you're looking at everything together. And there's the yellow, because after blue comes yellow. And can the yellow bring in the red? And notice the 111 and the 700 is still opening up. Now I'm about to uncompress time here. Notice the markets. Notice the numerical value. That's why we have those numbers there. A visual. We're out of there. Lime on the pi cycle top. Green, we're out of there. You see that? And the price didn't have to significantly drop on us because that yellow and the red have printed together, painting the candles from blue to yellow, indicating a downward trajectory. But after yellow comes blue. We just go back and forth and we look for our triggering effects with those beautiful moving averages we talked about. Now, if we land a candle on that white line, that can trigger the death cross to really come in. We're starting to see the smaller yellow triangles there. And before this blue channel closes out, we can gain strength and bounce out of it. Before it closes out, it's positive, so we move down through the positive. But wasn't this a good ride? And remember, this can be any time frame. And it's beautiful to be thinking this fast. It's exciting. But to understand why the price action is moving up or down is a beautiful thing. Notice the support and resistance lines just now. Support is greater than resistance. You have a floor or a foundation and you have the sky opened above. You can go up and the candles are blue. When resistance flies over, then support will be taken out and you can go down. It doesn't happen on the fly. I've adjusted this. See, that just happened just now, but it's predicted. It's predictable. If I double click on here, and I might not be able to do it exactly, let's just go here to the settings, because 18 and 3 is almost like a sweet spot setting. We can adjust the sensitivity of these indicators here. And if I adjust it too much, then it's just gonna be further confirmation of what's happening between the 2 and the 6, golden cross and death cross, which is consisting of the red and the greens. Okay, that's painted the candles, blues and yellows. So I like 3, which is really a sweet spot. 3 says, relax. Let me help the interpretation of other things to look at in the chart. Look at the beautiful support, right? And we have a floor or a foundation, and again, you're moving up. Now, did this channel close out? That's beautiful blue mixed in with green a little bit, but I see the blue edge borders. And I don't know if the blue closed out. I don't see a yellow. We're still in an uptrend. That 21 simple moving average, that white line in the midst of the yellows and the blues, is moving up. And when that is moving up, everything becomes easy and effortless. But you have to be careful, because if you start touching that dotted white line, the ride could be over temporarily unless you bounce out of it. When we're above the dotted white line, we're in positive territory. Things are good. When we're below the dotted white line, it begins to pull the white line downward, and we can call that a bear market. So bull market territory. And remember, these candles, again, even though it's a 10-second chart, they can represent any time frame. The whole chart is talking to you. What time frame do you want to trade on? So my goal typically when I sit at the computer is to gain at least 1.65%, because a $5,000 trade gaining 1.65% is worth my time, personally speaking. And a $10,000 trade gaining 1.65% is personally worth my time. Now, I'm confident I can gain that and better, but my chart and my methodology of training fits me. After looking at the indicators in this information, you have to find what fits you. But again, if you're looking at charts and you don't trust it, and I trust my own name because I know I am my best friend, and I know that I trust myself not to steer me wrong after gaining so much experience in life, and it's really the divine spark of the Holy Spirit within me who I'm trusting in, then sometimes you have to lean and trust in what meditation and blood, sweat, and tears have built, so that you can enjoy the fruits of the gift that is within. So my name is an encouragement to myself to take advantage of all of the endless hours and history in the chart. And now someone comes right along and picks up on the beauty of this thing. And with such beautiful indicators, they realize I can trade. If all else fails, I can trade. And I have something to sustain myself in the event we see government layoffs, jobs laying off, a broken economy, a liquidity freeze, a break in the financial system, and all of these beautiful things I'm saying. Draw your attention to the chart, not out of fear, but out of promise. The 30, the 60, and the 100-fold blessing. How is that going to happen unless you enlarge your tent? So I told myself I should not necessarily expect anything unless I am enlarging my tent. Now, ZBCN is a beautiful, beautiful cryptocurrency, and we appreciate ZBCN for faithful signals. There are some things in here I just can't talk about everything because of the time factor. But look at the beautiful 111 and 700 golden cross opened up so nice and wide. And notice, if we can spy with our eyes, magnify some things here. We want to look at this blue. There's a lot of information in this chart. We want to look at this blue to see if it closed, because before it closed and flipped yellow, you would have been beneath it. Let's see if our truths are holding true in the chart. I'm trying to magnify this section up in here. Look at that. The blue flipped to yellow, and before it flipped, you were beneath it, because we traveled down through positive colors and up through negative colors. Before that yellow flips out and turns blue, you will be above it. Let's see if we can spot this in real action. And the same is true for all of the moving averages. You move down through positive colors, and you can see that blue, you move down, and it flipped to negative right up in here, and you were beneath it. This is a red candle. Red candles, you measure from the bottom of the red. Green candles, you measure from the top of the green. Now, this may or may not close out with this death cross of the 1 and the 3 and the 2 and the 6 combined together. We need something to force us up, and it's being fought. Look at that tug of war right there. It's a large blue and a large yellow on top of each other. Here's the yellow. So usually you don't get a double negative that way. So this is a hiccup in the chart. It's probably my computer processing power. It's looking at a lot of information. It's doing a lot of interpretations. So we may have to abandon that concept, but just trust. We want to go to higher time frames. We travel up through negatives, but down through positives. Look, we're hitting everything at one time. Oh my goodness. Let's auto adjust. Now you've dipped into some positive territory of your 13 and 48 golden cross. 2 oranges. That's being closed out. That's the signal there, right? And now that's triggering your 50 and 200 death cross to want to come in. That's the solid black lines that are wide, right? When you start getting those, you're starting to eat into the positive territory of this long, wide channel that is surrounded by black solid borders, right? That's what the red means. So it's good to know what the yellow means. The yellow is the death cross of the 13 and the 48. The dotted orange lines, the price action is being moved downward until you get the death cross of the 13 and the 48. Yeah, and that triggers the 50 and the 200 death cross. All right, so chain reaction, pi cycle top, beautiful thing. Let's flip to a 5-minute chart, and let's flip to XRP. Actually, I want to flip to higher time frames. Let's go to a 2-hour chart, and let's look at XRP. XRP, our beautiful ISO 20022 token, which all the smart people with the highest IQ, even the guy who claimed to have the highest IQ, is stacking XRP. Now, shall we not stack our pennies next to their dollars? As Brad Kynes would say from his beautiful YouTube channel, Digital Perspectives. All right, XRP, where are you? So many assets to look at while I'm here. Let's look at silver. Where's silver? AUGXAG. Silver $61.93. It's basically doubled since January of 2025. It's basically doubled in price. And this lets you know something is going on with the currency. Okay. This is why they need to stabilize and fix the currency. And they're looking at stable coins, buying US treasuries in order to do that. So the Clarity Act is waiting in the wings, feeding off the beautiful tornado of the Genius Act. And that's going to usher in some beautiful things. Now, not that I look outside the chart, I do indulge in political, financial, and macroeconomic data and information as well. This is why I call myself a beautiful nerd. I'm usually looking at charts 80% of my time. 15% of my time is watching financial, economic, political, and social news. And 5% of my chart is leisure, relaxing, unwinding, maybe watching movies. Looking at charts is a serious form of golf or meditation for me. Okay, XRP. Let that chart load. And remember, XRP 2-minute chart. I'm going to let you sit back and interpret this chart. I have many lines in here offering a visual for support and resistance, and I'll take you through that whenever we get the higher time frame, maybe the 8-hour time frame. All right, so we can close these pi cycle tops, and we can look at the one for the 2-hour chart. Shall I take this away? Will it give us better width of the candle? So I temporarily took the 111 and the 700 simple moving averages away, the wind channels, or I should say weighted moving averages. And you can see the pi cycle top gave you a great entry point. This is truly a red candle. A red 2-hour candle. Every candle or bar represents 2 hours. And the beautiful pi cycle top is doing its job. Measuring from the bottom of the red candle, which is yellow, into blues. And the pi cycle's top is still cooking, right? So now, do we have more than 1.65%? Let's look at this. And of course, you would have been watching this like a hawk. So we could definitely catch the wicks, but just for the sake of the show. And there is a wick there. There is a wick there. Let's just stop here. Even though we know the price is still going up to this line here. But 2.96% overall. There is a beautiful wick here. 3.25% came down, still has support. We can see the golden cross. We can see the markets heating up in the background. You see the numerical. Let's get this out of the way. It's somewhat of a distraction. Let's take that wick. We can see the beautiful, beautiful numerical value of the strength and speed of the candle on the chart. And notice, you're not moving at 10-second intervals, folks. You have time. And you can count cadence, right? You're in the influence of the 2 and the 6 golden cross to green. That has painted the candles from yellow to blue, indicating an upward trajectory. We know that after blue came yellow, and yellow did not usher in the red. And so you came across another blue. Now, what's due in the future? Very good, class, a yellow. And since we are already in the influence of the green, then we say the yellow, which is due in our future, can usher in the red. So we can sit here over the next course of the time frame. The next candle prints at about 11 o'clock a.m. That's 45, 6, 7, 8, about 48 minutes. You can watch this numerical value go up or down. You can watch the 2-pole oscillator letting you know how, hey, money is probably slightly pouring out of the asset. You can look at the beautiful moving averages by adjusting things, seeing where you are. So true. As you travel down through the positives, blue, and up through the negatives, yellow, before it closes. And will we traverse and travel up through the negative dotted orange lines filled with red? But remember what comes first, right? So this golden cross, which is opened up, switching us from yellow to blue, may continue to give us a bump up, helping us through price action, along with the 13 and 48 golden cross that wants to come in. You see this down here on the bottom? This is helping you go up through the dotted orange lines. And if we hold on long enough, then we'll start to get green triangles in the midst of the white triangles. That will be the 50 and the 200 golden cross that wants to come in, taking you up through the solid black line borders, right? All right, so let's see. Let's decompress time. As you can see, support and resistance, right? Let's decompress. Auto adjust. All right. Notice resistance is greater than support. Things can change, but for some reason, you have a ceiling above you and no floor beneath you. Notice how much time you have to make your educated decision. Pi cycle top, it looks to be riding flat and parallel above its line of excitement, still above. The color has not changed from this solid orange to a lighter orange black to lime at all. Yet to be determined. 77.37. Was that 77.27 moments ago? You see that? So the whole chart is saying, watch me closely for your exit, because we can still go up. And with the encouragement, information that you're seeing, noticing how one thing triggers the effect of another, it has you making the best decision. Time in the trade, time in the charts, even if it's monopoly money, trusting your indicators. So you interpreted this chart, right? Now let's move to higher time frames, because we saw we can gain at least 2.65 to 3.25% on these measurements here. Let's go to a 6-hour chart and let's look at the bottom pi cycle top begin to cook and adjust. Notice the support and resistance lines whenever they come in. Support is greater than resistance. And you're interpreting with your mind this chart. And we have many lines of support and resistance, just as benchmarks, and we'll talk about that once we hit the 8-hour chart. But we'll have to move from under the microscope to the freestyle view to appreciate higher time frame pi cycle tops. All right. So the two-pole oscillator saying, hey, value may be coming in. Doesn't that make sense? And we can see the market is heating up in the background for the last 6, 12, 18, 24 hours. Oh, isn't that beautiful? And this next candle prints at 1 o'clock p.m. And that's a little under 4 hours. We can see the strength and speed of the numerical value on the candle or by the candle itself. Price action is to the right. We can see that when we are in the influence of the 1 and the 3 that triggered the 2 and the 6, this the blue that ushered in the green, changing the candles from yellow to blue. This would be nice to open up a little more for an upward trajectory. But after blue comes yellow. And the question is this yellow going to print? Or will it disappear, because a lot can happen within a 6-hour time frame on the 6-hour chart? Will it print as history, or will it all disappear and something else happens? Will the yellow bring in the red, 2 and the 6 death cross, or will the yellow just come in and after yellow comes another blue to feed the fire and the flame to trigger the 9 and the 21 golden cross, a large blue triangle? We can appreciate what we're seeing here. This is the 13 and the 48 golden cross wants to come in support to help you up through the dotted orange lines. And remember that can trigger the 50 and the 200 green arrows to take you up through the solid black line borders. And you can gauge price action of what that would be whenever that happens, because the momentum is sloping down. And the idea is, even if we were to ride flat, everything would merge into the flat price. But of course, we do have some ups and downs. All right. So you're interpreting this chart with some of the information in the chart, especially looking at where you are as we blow this thing up. Knowing that we have the capability of traveling up through the negative, and the 9 and the 21 comes first. The golden cross traveled down through the positive after you got a bump, and the death cross, the yellow channel, traveled down through the negative as you get a bump down. But when it's all said and done, you will be above it before it flips from yellow to blue. Okay. All right. Let's go to the higher time frames, out from under the microscope to more of a macro view, miscellaneous freestyle view, where we have the same layouts. I should have really covered the 8-hour chart there, but we'll cover it on this one because we still have those white support and resistance lines, and we'll talk about that a little bit. All right, Pi cycle top for the higher time frames. We're on a 12-hour chart, and we're about to flip to the 8-hour chart. Let's drag this over just a little. And we did note this is EBCN, so let's flip to XRP. A lot of information in the chart. XRP, XRP leverage, beautiful XRP. All right, let's take that away so that we can appreciate everything we see here. All right, those supports and resistance lines are coming in. As far as the white lines there, and on this line, you can see that resistance is greater than support. The dotted blue lines are longer than the dotted green lines. And support would have to fly over and give us a foundation or a floor so that the price action could be expected to move upward. We can see that we're painted yellow on the candles. And since we're painted yellow on the candles, we must be in the influence of a red triangle, which is the 2 and the 6 death cross. And there's the red triangle there. We can see the markets have cooled down between light pink and orange, but heating up between orange to a darker orange. White would be the next color. We can see as we count cadence, we have the 1 and the 3 golden cross that wants to usher in the 2 and the 6 golden cross. To paint the candles from yellow to blue, indicating an upward trajectory, but we have to see how it prints. The green would need to slide to the left, and everything shifts to the left to see if that green makes history. If it doesn't make history, if the green does not come in, then after blue comes yellow. So if the green holds, great. If it disappears before the next candle prints, the next candle should print at 7 o'clock p.m., then after blue comes yellow. So that's based on the if this then that scenario. All right. The 8-hour time frame. So we can talk about the support and resistance lines that we see here. Let's just blow it up a little bit. And this was based on previous price action, a floor and a ceiling based on previous price action. Let's open this up and drag it up a little more. And let's double click on our chart. And let's appreciate what we're seeing. Now, based on this right here, we hit a floor, a cement floor, a foundation. We did not close below it on the 8-hour chart for XRP. And we can see the date there floating towards the bottom of the screen, November the 11th, 2025, right? We love history. We can see that the background was talking to us as the markets were cooling down. Bam, green. Green means go, green means get in, green means buy. And you best believe there's an entry point on the pi cycle top there. I love how the charts are just witnessing and beautifully speaking like a fine-tuned orchestra all together. Bottom of the red, top of the green with the high wick. Should I measure it? Let's measure it. Bottom of the red. A lot can happen. 4.25% in 8 hours. Great day. It beats my personal 1.65%, which you can see in many places in the chart. And it doesn't have to be a humongous ride. You can get what you need and you can take care of everything else that you need to take care of. But let's trend and look at the support. And then we sort of hit resistance. Rode above it. This became our foundation, but this next line became our ceiling. Look, we did not close above that ceiling. It was resistance until we broke above it. And we knew before the yellow channel closed, we must be above it. This is a negative channel. You're flying up through negatives, but down through the positives. And up through the negatives, down through the positives, and up through the negatives, down through the positives, and up through the negatives. All right. You see that with many oscillations on many moving averages, not just the 9 and the 21, but the 13 and the 48, the 50 and the 200, the 111 and the 700, and so on. Now, you can track how now this is resistance until we break through it. And we linger in here, and this becomes resistance. And we have a floor, a foundation. Look at the beautiful wick there. Until we just start breaking through. We're breaking through like an elevator. Can't go above this or close a candle above it. The price went above it, but it was quickly sold off. All right. And so now we almost hit against it. We land a candle on it, but we don't close above it. So it really doesn't count. But that's a new resistance there. I just didn't draw the line there. And so we're sort of forced down because we can't break that resistance, that support, right? Right up in here. And now it's resistance. Break down. Break down. Line of support here. Bounce off of that. Go up. Resistance here. And now it becomes support. We fall through support. Land on the next floor. And remember, this is in reference for price action, price points. Like, where do I expect the price to be based on where we land? Will it become support? Will it be resistance? And you can just track all the way through because you're learning as you go, right? Broke through, landed a candle on, landed above it, landed a candle on, landed below it. And now let's just pan out so you can track through because we have a coiling effect here. And sometimes when you have that, you can see the continuation of sort of like a triangle here. Compress time. You see that hitting the edges of the triangle as it begins to coil. You might as well say you're building up momentum. Will or have we broken to the downside out of this triangular pattern. We draw the floor outside of that triangular pattern because, like a ping pong ball, moving with momentum, bouncing faster and faster off the walls until you have so much momentum until you release. All right. So will we make it back into this area here, or have I needed to restructure the pattern, another one more sharply here, right? Another triangular pattern that's meeting on a different angle, so to speak. Nevertheless, support and resistance by the 19th, something is going to give by the 19th. And I'll look back and see if we're to the downside or the upside, but something's going somewhere. Now, I'm going to let you interpret the information in this chart because we understand we can be forced down further or we can move up. So you can count cadence as we decompress. And you can see what influence you're in. You can see the markets heating up. But what else did I tell you to look at besides pi? How to hold things still so you can discern and interpret. Let's open up our two-pole oscillator. You can see that moving average in pi. And it seems to be curving down or towards its line of excitement. Will we turn lime green? Will the 9 and the 21 golden cross come in? Right? The large blue triangle. Let's look across the bottom of the screen. Are there any triggering effects? There's no strength to carry you up through the 13 and the 48, that which is in the midst of the solid correction, the dotted orange lines. There's no support of the green triangles to carry you up through the solid black lines, the 50 and the 200 golden cross wanting to come in. So we need, by way of simple logic, the 1 and the 3 to trigger the 2 and the 6, and it has printed. And we need the 2 and the 6 to bring in the 9 and the 21 golden cross, the large blue triangle, yet to be seen and determined into the future. Because as we count cadence, we are aware that after blue comes yellow, and the yellow could potentially usher in the red 2 and the 6 death cross to paint the candles from blue back to yellow, indicating a downward trajectory. Remember, red paints the candles yellow, green paints the candles blue. So we respect the chart and respect where we are. We can cut up through red, but we need to see the triggering effect of some action. I want to see the 9 and the 21 golden cross come in. I want to see some white triangles that were over here. I want to see them manifesting over here. And eventually, I want to see the white triangles help give rise to the support of the green triangles like we see here. And the green triangles will give rise to the white squares. Now, how simple was that? All that from a 10-second chart, because the same thing that happens on a 10-second chart, the learning chart, happens on higher time frames. You just have time to think and process the information and respect the pi single top for really good entry and exit points. Now, the 12-hour chart. Just take a look at it. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to say anything. I'll just give you the pleasure of looking. at what's going on in the chart. And a moment of silence out of respect. Maybe start from the top and work your way down. And you know what's coming into the future. It doesn't have to be the next block that prints at 7 p.m. But in the future, you know a yellow is due into the future. So you proceed with caution. But we know what can happen. The green can possibly trigger the 9 and the 21 to come in. And we'll start to see small blue triangles underneath the bars. And that 9 and the 21, just like we said on the 8-hour chart, can trigger the 13 and the 48, the white triangles to come in. And the 13 and the 48 can trigger the 50 and the 200, the green triangles to come in. And the 50 and the 200 can trigger the white squares to come in, all carrying you up through the various moving average of the wind channels here. All right, so right now, floor and elevators that we looked at on the 8-hour chart, let's pan to a higher time frame. Let's go to the 1-day chart. And let's draw our attention and take away the 12-hour pi cycle top because it just permits with the solid color here. And so we're going to take that away as a lack of things to distract us from the chart. One thing that I have taken away, just so we can see, is the strength and speed of the candle on the chart itself. So let's put that back on. See that? Okay. Now your background talks to you, but sometimes you need to see between these two perfectly dark orange colors. You need to visibly see with your eye if it's going down in value or increasing in value. 5.07 and 36.750 is slightly going up because you're in the influence presently of the 1 and the 3. That could usher in the 2 and the 6. It all can change, but presently, as we speak, that's what's happening. Now you see what you see here. You know what this means. The orange squares is pressure taking you down through the dotted orange lines here, the dotted orange borders. That's the 13 and the 48 death cross that wants to come in. All right. So nice, appreciated, but with respect. The scenario is the same. The 1 and the 3 needs to trigger the 2 and the 6 green. And it depends on how we print. All this needs to slide to the left. The blue, at least at a minimum, needs to slide to the left. Because you're in the influence of the 2 and the 6 death cross that painted the candles from blue to yellow, indicating a downward trajectory. And it's nice to know when we've hit the bottom. So maybe the charts are going to cool down a little more. The blue may print and not the green. And if the blue just prints, then after blue comes yellow. That can feed the flame. So we're looking at areas of support and resistance here. With the if this then that scenario, we don't necessarily approach this chart with hope, but we're interpreting things just like the weatherman would. Because the weather is important to know. You need to know whether to bring your umbrella or not. And you need to know whether to put snow chains on your tire wheels. You need to know if you need to bring a jacket or not. You need to know if your visibility, due to so much dense fog and uncertainty, will be clear or not. All right. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at that. Great entry point, right? Great entry point. Stack, accumulate, buy XRP. Even if the price dips to the next floor, buy more. The next floor, buy more, as we saw on the 8-hour chart. And we can pan and keep going up or down floors until eventually what you saw on that 10-second chart happens. out of a chain reaction of what happens next. All right, 2-day chart. Then I'm going to pan to a 1-week chart, a 2-week chart, and a 1-month chart. Make sure we're auto adjusted here. You can freeze frame, you can take a picture, and notice the pi cycle top for the 2-day chart. In a bear market or downward simple moving average, difficult to take trades, but not impossible. You just have to move on a faster moving chart, a lower time frame. A 4-day chart. Not that we necessarily have a pi cycle top built out for the 4-day chart, but these work just as fine. They still give you good entry and exit points. Look at a beautiful intro and outro, right? Everybody remembers this date here. Count cadence. After yellow comes blue. The markets have been cooling down for 8, 12, 16 days. The 2-pole oscillator says value is still there. Support and resistance lines. Support greater than resistance. What's that about? Nothing aligning to the bottom. Something will be decided. The death cross of the 13 and the 48. The dotted orange orders were green, and you came down through the positive green. And now the dotted orange borders show red, that's negative. Will you travel up through negative? So we need a chain reaction just like we need on earlier charts, and we know how this thing plays out. We know what happens. And should we begin to move from where we are, let's just look at percentages. I'm just going to move this up so you can see the percentages on the 4-day chart. And if we just move to a previous price point, 54%, all we have to do is move up a little bit. And $10,000 becomes, well, you guessed it. So it would be so nice if things held off just slightly so that people who get their income taxes can take advantage of the ride up if they have nothing currently stored from being on higher time frames, working magic and gaining interest, compounding their interest. And I have a question for you. I want you to compound interest on $100 that gains 15% every 10 days. Tell me what you have after a year. Again, tell me what your compounded interest would be on $100 if you gained 15% every 10 days for a year. Tell me that. And then tell me if you have tools for the 30, 60, and the 100-fold. And then go back and enlarge your tent by watching parts 1 through 5 again and come talk to me. The 1-week chart, take a look at this. We're on the 1-week pi cycle top, specifically structured and unique for the 1-week chart. Oh, you can count cadence. After yellow comes blue. And we're looking for a blue to usher in a green, doing the 6 golden cross that changes the candles from yellow to blue, indicating an up wall. It's about to be big. And imagine just a few weeks of some blue. And imagine the pi cycle top that's interpreting a 21 simple moving average that is on the serious incline and not the decline. And we don't have to imagine these things. This is people's opportunity to get ready for increase. Because when the dark cloud comes, it's an opportunity based on how your brain is wired. Trust what I tell you. Trust what I tell you. Look at the support and resistance lines. Look at that. Support is greater than resistance. Well, geez, you see, that's why I love when I went here just now and I showed you that beautiful 18 and 3 combination, right? We can adjust the sensitivity, but I just didn't want it interpreting everything else in the chart. I'm trying not to let the chart. I'm trying not to force it to look a certain way or do a certain thing. This is a sweet spot, fine-tuned chart setup. This is nicknamed the printing press. It's like a lot of people know I work just part-time and I survive and I thrive. All right, let's look at a 2-week chart. This here, look at this beautiful entry point here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at this. Bottom of the wick, top of the green. 8%, 7 days. The next one. I write it as high as. Compound your own interest. And that's beautiful. That is beautiful. So if you were to take the highs and lows, bottom of the red, top of the green, bottom of the red, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, then you gaining 10 to 15% every 10 days is not someone's dream. It's up to you to make things a reality. Spending time in the chart is a beautiful thing. All right, with that said and done, 2-week chart. Okay, you can see what you're due for. You can see support and resistance lines. You can visibly see what's going on in the chart as the death cross of the 9 and the 21 is there. And this may help you down through the orange. So we're waiting on the triggering effect. We don't see anything across. Oh, there it is. You see that? There is the death cross that wants to come in of the 13 and the 48, that which is in the midst of the dotted orange lines, right? So the next candle prints on the 22nd of December. This could disappear. We can get a bump up. A lot can happen. So, the various time frames are showing you different things. You have moves within moves, moves within moves, right? Look at this area. This green, this is all opportunity here. Yes. So you can trade on one time frame while accumulating for the gap on higher time frames for more explosive moves to come. So we're watching our chart, and it's amazing how things are moving so beautifully slow. We haven't even talked about the momentum oscillator, its line of excitement. Typically, you have some negative action. When it's above its line of excitement, typically you have some positive price action. When it's below its line of excitement, typically you have some negative price action. So usually it's heating up. Well, let's look at here, right? The red and here. So what I have on here is something I'm about to take off right now because we don't want the money supply. Oh, it's not on there. It's not on there. Yeah, we don't want the money supply misinterpreting things for us. Red hot cools down to yellowish to limeish to greenish, greenish, warming up yellow. Then, of course, limeish, greenish, yellow, limeish, greenish, green, 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 green. Opportunity, get in. Stack your paper. Go on those exchanges and do what I do so well. All right, 1 month chart. The markets were cooling down in the background. All right, count cadence. And let me compress the candles so that you can see across the top. After yellow comes, there you go, blue. And the blue could potentially usher in the green. It can happen like it did here, or come in at the same time and feed you a strong 9 and 21 and a strong 13 and 48 golden cross. The whole thing could be talking to you. It all can happen in a flash. It's typically how XRP, when it moves, it moves. So we can see the beauty here. And we can see sometimes we get a bridge line to stay in the trade, because that is a gain from here to the top of the wick. You see that green wick there, like a candle. Now, what else do you notice about support and resistance line? On this time frame, resistance is greater than support. Price has been moving down. The higher time frames you go, the cleaner the chart is. It's no different from a 10-second chart. But notice how you have time to appreciate, time to look at the value and the strength and speed of the beautiful candles itself. Time to see the markets cooling down for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 months now. And beautiful entry point of this color or green. These are beautiful entry points. Lime could have been a beautiful entry point too, as we can clearly see from here to here, right? And you have many trades that could have taken place in the past. When I move this off, the other bars will auto adjust. They're not just totally flat, you know. Let's auto adjust. All right. So many trades, even when things seem boring, you still have the 2-week chart and the 1-week chart and all the higher time frames. Let's put everything together. Include the 12-hour pi cycle top, and we're about to conclude. Education that can't be taught in some schools, taking you right to the point, just right to the point of using beautiful, beautiful indicators and giving you somewhat of a foundation in trading. When I get to the edge of my chart, there's so much information here. Good. We're closer. Friday, 12/12. We're almost at the edge. Mind, this is a 12-hour chart now. 12-hour chart. All right, we are auto adjusted and we can maximize the screen, take the pi cycle tops off. That's Tradingview. Beautiful, beautiful platform. All right, so you can always go back and repair and rehearse. Watch the videos over and over and over again and take a leap of faith and enlarge your tent. If you don't do it, you have to find some avenue, as you have to cooperate with your own self to bring in this wealth transfer, according to Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 through 15. It's after 400 years, folks. It's showtime. With that said and done, everyone needs to clearly understand I am not a financial advisor, and nothing that has been said in this presentation is to be considered financial advice. These videos are leaning heavily towards the educational and training side of looking at these beautiful charts. With that said and done, I'm going to let our beautiful, beautiful outro begin to take us on out. Yeah, because so many things can happen until it's just good for everyone to understand. This can be very risky. If you don't know what you're doing, you can lose your shirt. You should never bet the mortgage or the house. And in fact, you shouldn't do scratch off tickets. You shouldn't gamble. You should have a methodology of interest gained. You bury your gold and you bury your money into a bank that doesn't produce anything for you with zero interest, basically, then you deserve to have what you have taken through inflation. All right. And these are the beautiful things that are found in scripture. And it's more of a common sense thing. And a lot of people can say, well, it means this and it doesn't mean that. To each his own, right? To each his own. Let's let this beautiful outro take us on out.
Your instructor of this extraordinary chart layout and information expounded upon is not a financial advisor, and nothing in this presentation is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies, ETFs, ETNs, stocks, bonds, commodities, you name it, these things can be highly volatile. You could lose all of the money you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified, licensed professional. Your investments are your sole responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing or trading. An explosion can go off somewhere, a train can derail, a bank could collapse, or there could be a break in the financial system. There could be a temporary liquidity freeze. Also, somewhere in the world, war can break out in another country as we see Russia sparring with Poland. A volcano can pop its cap. A political scandal can appear out of seemingly nowhere. The Fed may not lower interest rates when expected. ETFs may or may not get approved when expected. The spread of an illness can keep countries on lockdown as the world experienced this just a few years ago, and these are just a few examples that could set off markets to rapidly flip one way or another, unexpectedly and unpredictably. So nothing is a guarantee. Your captain, nor the platforms containing this presentation for your review are liable for any losses. This video is strictly for entertainment and leaning heavily towards the educational side only. Stay objective and stay informed. Always follow the money indicated in the chart inflows many times before key events in the social, economic, and political climate forms its narrative in the news. Take the time to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content.